And I thought that was like, wow, even a monkey knows how to feel appreciated, you know?
Interested. Listen, animals have feelings too. Animals have feelings too. So if the animal has feelings, how much more does a human being have? What separates us is actually our ability to take our intellect and be able to do the things that we do, and create higher forms of civilization. You know, her whole thing, when I looked at it in that TED Talk, you know, not only I think she comes from a background of neuroscience, but she was looking how the brain actually functions and receives certain memories based upon how we lived, you know, eons of years ago, and we still react from that particular mindset, which brings me to this point, why BSAS is introducing this, because we're stuck in old ways and don't even know why we do the things we do. This is why this is the process that we're going to work through. But I would want to encourage you to go back and listen to her again and capture that part of the scientific part that she talked about. Yes, Autumn, please.
Oh, I think I liked when she was talking about how it's, because we were just talking about this in our little group, Jack and Eddie, about how sometimes, so what I'm going to say is it's safer to say diversity, right? It's safer to say that because sometimes you don't want to rock the boat per se. You know what I mean? And we were talking about that like in our small group just prior to this. And it really stuck with me when she said, so it's great that we offer all these things and we say these things, but it's really how we treat people when they do arrive.
Absolutely. That's an excellent point. She did bring that home, and looking at diversity, and that we should be focusing on equity, not diversity. I think equity challenges you more to the core. It challenges you because now you got to give up something. You got to take less and give to someone else in order for there to be true equity and they receive what they rightfully should have. Beautiful. Now let's look at that question at the bottom of the page. How do you feel called to work towards equity in Massachusetts? How did you feel when Julio gave us that letter and put all that pressure on us? That now after this training, this is what we have to come back or bring back to our agencies. I see Jack shaking his head. So how do you feel that you're called to this work towards equity in Massachusetts?
I feel like it's a responsibility once I be given, you know, awareness. Recently, I've constantly been up against it with homeless folks from El Salvador, from Chelsea, that I can't even offer them the option that English-speaking people have of IOP. You've got or you've got a guy that's renting a room and he's got to work for minimum wage to pay the sober house or the rooming house, right? Jack, I can't go to your treatment center, man, and because I have an interpreter on my phone, right? But I can't send him anywhere for that option for outpatient. He's got to work. He can't go away for a month and just put his bills on hold. Like, he's got to feed his family, etc. So I'm always advocating for bilingual coaches, for bilingual facilitators, because even with folks that have a little understanding of the English language, and you put them in a group of 30 people in an IOP in a basement, and they're doing a group and they're catching every other word. It's not even fair. It's not even cool. And we don't have the funds, obviously, right? The capital to have an interpreter just for that one or two folks that don't speak English fluidly, right? So really, calling it out, I guess, is more is one way. Making other people aware that this is just not cool, and even more people are talking about it now. The more I've been, bringing it up the past year about, the disparity there, and so yeah.
Jack, you know something? I would say this: you're like a rarity. You're like a rarity. It is always to have someone to be a mentor who is actually doing things like the way you do and how you see it and moving forth. You know, the MBTA says, if you see something, say something. But today we got to do more than just say something. We have to go that extra yard. And that's what equity to me in this field is. We have to do something. So that advocacy piece, making sure that you and I are representing that while we're in a position to do that, that's doing something. So I thank you for sharing that.
I had a guy who was in one of my recoveries who works same thing, and he doesn't want to get his COVID vaccine because he doesn't want to be sick because he needs to work or he'll be fired from his job. So to be able to get him that appointment that he's going to maybe have 1 or 2 days off after that, it's just to make sure, you know, that you can make sure that happens. And people like, you know, you have to come when you have to come, but no, you have to come when people, you have to meet people where they're at. That's meeting where they're at because he needs those 2 days so he doesn't lose his job.
Talking about equity again, Paul, because everybody may not have that same means. If they got sick, they can take sick time off. You know, I think that was one of the big issues with people pushing and dealing with that, because I did see that and I heard that around that is not losing time with sick and having to take off. Thank you for sharing that.
Right on.
At this time, what I'd like us to do, on page 27, we're going to be breaking up into small groups. So I'm going to have one person, the same person. Now, one person be the timekeeper, then one person be the recorder and the reporter. What we're going to do in your particular groups, the questions on page 27 is 2 questions. What connections can you make between DEI and recovery? Then it goes recovery coaching. So that's 2 questions in one. Then question 2, what does the phrase DEI and the practice of recovery coach supervision mean to you? So what I want you to do is to go into your groups, I'll paraphrase it, and answer those 2 respective questions. And when you come back, we'll unpack them. How's that? So if you see that on page 27 and 28, you see that picture there, that's where your words should have been written. You did the homework. So this should be something very, very beautiful for us to unpack and come back with. Paul, if you could send them out, what is it?
15 minutes?
15 minutes. You'll have a 60 seconds when you see it winding down. I'll probably send you a blast if you're spending too much time, about 7 minutes, 8 minutes to let you go to question 2 so you can unpack it.
Okay, here we go. Hey, Mark, hey, Kim.
Hello, Mr. Fall.
Just looking at my new module.
You are good to go with it. That's what a professional does, right? An expert. They just go with the punches.
Go and get to what's real. That's what David Lee Roth said, right?
Yes.
You got to roll with the punches and get to what's real. Okay, you see, I got me standing with my back against a wrecking machine.
Come on, you and Kim
You
sitting
bet
there
you know
partying.
that I mean.
Hey,
Can't you
I
see
went in
what
the
I mean?
book, and DJ, she didn't have 27. Everybody else had it in their book, but she said not in her book. She said, I'm on page 27, but mine doesn't say that. So they're going to work from the other two. Julie and Angela's in there so she can listen.
Wait, there's no page at all? I mean, is the page there? It's just a different number?
She said 27 wasn't her page for
Well,
this.
but did she have it
She
on
had
a different
27.
page?
I asked, she couldn't find it. She was looking, couldn't find it. So when they come back, I just asked everybody real quick, did anybody have any problems finding page 27? I should have did that knowing that this book, some things would kind of, see what I mean, Kim? How you can do things and you find out.
You are good.
No, if I never went in that room, I never would have knew.
Right.
So the thing is that doing them.
Oh, we got to add that.
Yeah,
Make sure.
But I got to ask everybody else when they come back for me to find
Oh my
out.
God, I've remembered my whole thing.
Yeah.
And I did let people know in the chat that we were recording as well.
Okay. Okay.
Go with the punches.
Okay.
What's that other song? Don't let them run. You better count your. Oh, Bob Seger.
Okay.
Why am I thinking of that one?
Oh, you got to go roll.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's The Gambler by.
I don't know why I thought of that though.
Know when to fold them, know when to hold them. Right? Is that the one?
Yes. Know when to walk away.
Dun, 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 dun,
Know when to run.
dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. We got to know when.
I don't know any Bob
that's
Seger,
a
does
super. That's not Bob Seger. It's
Who is it?
Oh no, you're right. But I was thinking Pete Seeger for a second. It is Bob Seger.
Bob Seger.
And the what is it? The Beaver Bullet Band or something like that.
Yeah.
Bob Seger and the Bullet Band. No, it's Kenny Rogers.
Is it?
Yeah, The Gambler, the one about about the cards, right? You got to know when to hold them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Good song anyway.
Well, it's not a bad thing to have diversity and include, Kenny Rogers, because he was quite the symbol for many.
Right?
Lady.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, beautiful song.
Oh, song.
Oh. Yeah, wrote it.
Beautiful.
Oh my God.
He covered that. Did he cover that, or did he have a different lady song?
No, that's Lionel wrote it, and he had Kenny sang it.
Yes. Okay.
Like Lionel was a writer. He wrote a lot of music. Smokey Robinson wrote a lot of music. Marvin Gaye wrote a lot of music. Barry.
Oh, I knew you were gonna bring him up. Best concert ever.
Yeah.
It's 8:30. Just so we
I gotta send a blast out in 1 minute.
111. Wow.
And,
do you know
Burt Bacharach?
I don't know that.
Bacharach. Yep.
Bacharach wrote a lot of music. Yep. I think he wrote the song that Barbara Streisand sung.
Oh, he's written a few of those, probably. Yeah.
But that one was that's like a classic. When she wrote for Love Story. The song she wrote for Love Story, that's a classic. Yeah.
You do know.
Yeah.
I know. Shoot those country bunkers. That's what I was thinking. I just started getting into country now.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Just the last year. It's probably my favorite music now.
Country always has a message to it. If you
right, that's what I like. The words. Music has to have good words for me
Absolutely.
to
Yeah, beer and pickup trucks.
Yeah, funny. And girls. Can I just tell you something? Every time I'm
Broken
with you guys,
Sorry.
Broken hearts. That's okay. I look at my, well, not every time, but the last 2 times I looked at my stove and it's 111. Do you know what that means in the Bible?
Ooh.
Oh, you do know.
No, I don't know the Bible version. I know it's
That's
supposed to be like a good luck thing.
It is, but it's in the Bible often 111, and it's angels. It's also meaning God's blessing you, and it's happened twice with you guys. 111 on my stove, but you have to notice it to know that it's happening. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, 111 is on your stove.
It was the time.
Oh,
Not on my computer. Yeah, but
God sends signs and threes.
right.
Threes
Second time that I've been with you guys, and you guys are with 3.
Yeah. Understanding, the highest form of understanding. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Three's powerful.
3 is powerful. 111. Saw it twice.
111.
Yep. Oh, dear Jesus. Did you guys have time to eat?
Yeah, a
You
little
don't
bit.
eat, but yeah.
I always get y'all with them. You don't eat.
I know. Well, then, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to stay. I had to go do something too. So I said, man, I know. Yeah.
I didn't have time.
Yeah, I seen. But I accomplished what I needed to accomplish. Yeah.
I got to talk to Patricia. That was the main goal.
You telling me. That's an important goal.
Yep. If people are not responding within 3 times, terminating.
Oh, great. Great.
They've been, you know, missed appointment, just like doctors. You miss an appointment 3 times, terminating.
Yeah.
Another way to do some of that is kind of you could have an appointment, but call them anyway. Just call everybody like twice a week, you know, and that way you're just like, hey, just came to mind, you know, wanted to say what's up, just checking in or just saying hello, or I thought of you because of this, that, you know, and it's just a way to like, you're not asking anything of them or like, all right, what's your goal or whatever, but you're just communicating, you're just, you know, making a contact, you know, even leaving messages, but leaving messages, just be creative with it, not to give, you know, not to leave that message how everybody else, oh, just you missed your appointment or this, or, you know, like just something, hey, it's a beautiful day out, wonder what you're doing for your recovery today. I was imagining you out, you know, doing something for your recovery, looking forward to hearing about it at our appointment, you know, something.
How beautiful is that?
Just like a random, like, oh, it wasn't even my appointment.
That is beautiful.
Oh, okay. You know, because they'll, you know, the messages we leave, it's always very important to leave messages, very, 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 but just don't leave the same message 7 other people are leaving for them.
Right. Know? That was beautiful though.
Especially
I'm imagining what your day's like. I love that.
Right. Hold on a second. I'm gonna.
That's really beautiful.
If you're chasing them down, there's a good chance there might be others chasing them down too, you know?
Right.
So just something. You all right, Marion?
Yes.
Oh, or all of you. Angela texted me. She thinks that DJ might be using the wrong manual. That's why she couldn't find the right page.
Got you.
So I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, we were gonna ask her what's up.
Because the other 2 participants, they had the right manual. So didn't I tell you Angie was gonna get something, Kim?
But she's like all incognito about it. She's not talking to them about it because if she opens, you know, if she says anything, her cover is blown.
Yeah. I know she was gonna get. I know it. She's very detailed. That's her.
Oh.
Forte. Yeah.
Oh. Gift. We all have a gift.
And thankfully, Angela has that. Cause it's not one of my.
Definitely, yeah. I'm organized, not detailed. Mark, Dawn loved Bree, just FYI.
Oh, wow.
Really was impressed. He's looking forward to meeting her on Friday.
Okay. So he got to get in line because that's your fish.
Ah!
Hey, 2 minutes.
I think I caught a big one though.
You sure did, Kim. You sure did.
Mark, by the way, when you said 1 minute back, I had it set for 15 seconds.
Oh, cool.
So no, but instead of having 15 minutes and then the 15 seconds, I switched it to 14 minutes and 1 minute, you know?
Beautiful. Yeah, I had to learn that too. I was giving them 15 minutes and then bringing them back in a minute, which was 16 minutes.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, this is wrong.
Well, it's just another piece to juggle, so to speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, man, everybody doesn't have Vanna White to help them at every training, so.
The only thing I will have problem with is doing the numbers in the breakout rooms. I can do everything else. I'm computer savvy, so.
The numbers?
That would be when you break up, you put 3 in one group, 3 in another group.
It does it automatically.
For you.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what if you got to put them like a clinical, non-clinical?
You would do it and then see who's in what group.
Right, you can switch them to rooms. You just put the cursor right by their name, and it's going to say move, and then it will pop up what rooms you can put them in, and you just hit it, and it will send them to different rooms.
I mean, that's
can you
a
do
style.
A prior? Can you?
Yeah, you can do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you launch it, because like I shuffle it like a couple of times. Like I'll hit recreate rooms, and it shuffles, and then you hit recreate, and it shuffles.
Yeah.
So a good idea is to come on early and create those rooms first.
Well, it all depends what your module is. You never know what your module is going to be. And you can do it while the other person is already doing something and you're next. You can be creating yours before they come on.
All right,
So
15 seconds. 15
Thank
seconds.
you.
1 minute. You just got to know where it's
Oh,
at.
1 minute, sorry.
Absolutely. You just do it ahead of time.
You could
Okay.
only do one at a time though.
Absolutely.
So like while we're talking, you could be putting it together, while the
I
other
see.
person is presenting.
Okay.
You can't like preset it like the polls.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least maybe I'm not aware of something, but I don't think so.
That's the way I do it too.
Now, in those polls, are those polls going to be used for every single supervision training / ATR now that we haven't said?
Yeah.
So they just follow. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Michael.
Michael.
Michael the Lover. You remember that song? Mike don't remember that song. Yeah, that was a song.
He's talking all along on mute.
Oh, Mike.
I don't remember that song, but I do remember the song that said, "My name is Michael. I have a nickel."
Y'all excuse me. I had him singing because there was a song called Michael the Lover. He never heard of that one before, though. But I like that one too, Michael. So, everybody, how was that?
Mohammed, you don't remember the song, "And send a message to Michael, message to Michael." Oh, that was 60s, way before your time.
Hey, Jack, I forgot about that one, but thank you. You're making Mike's day. Okay, group number 1 with Autumn, Carmen, Jack, and Steven. Your connections between DEI and recovery. Question number 1. What connections can you make between DEI and recovery?
We spent more time on this one than the second one, but a couple of things we talked about was having an understanding. And equity is your best shot, kind of the same access to supports. And one of the things that came up is, some of us that got sober and clean a long time ago, it was pretty much AA was it. You came out of detox, you went to AA. Having more access. Some of you guys can help me out filling in
Absolutely.
the blurb here. and multiple pathways. Again, there weren't, we didn't have access to a lot of this stuff. The other piece, and I think this was a big piece, was the inclusion of Matt in recovery, other meetings that allow multiple pathways, you know, because back in the day, and there are still some meetings out today that, you know, if you bring up the fact that you're on bipolar medication or something like that, you're going to get shunned down and whatnot. And I've seen in meetings where, you know, new people coming in bring something like that up and kind of get slammed in the meeting, and next thing you know, you don't see him at another meeting. It's nice today where there's much more acceptance of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yes. Wow. Thank you. And
We brought a medical assisted treatment meeting. I share with Carmen, Steve, and Autumn that I started on a Tuesday night. I started You Matter. So it was a Matter meeting. We called it the medical assisted treatment meeting. So like 17 out of 20 folks were on medical assisted treatment, and we spoke about not sharing that all the time at quote unquote open AA Narcotics Anonymous meetings, because you're going to get somebody with an opinion, right? So we started a meeting with everyone that was in the meeting was on medical assisted treatment. So there was a freedom for them to share exactly what they're doing instead of withholding. And I spoke about in the early going when I was on bipolar medication, I knew my sponsor's take on that. So I withheld that truth about myself, even to my own sponsor, because I knew the opinions he had about that, right? That you're chewing your booze, all this other bullshit that we got brought up with in the 80s. So a total shift, transformation in the whole thinking and inclusion around that,
I like that, Jack. I like what y'all have shared. You acknowledging them and letting them know that they do matter. Bringing equity to their particular position in dealing with their addiction. Thank you. Thank that group. That was group number 1. Let me see who's in group number 2. We have Eddie. Okay, you got it, Paul. Eddie, Mary, Eddie, Paul, and Sarah.
Yep. So I just wrote down a few things that we talked about. We said a lot of people that don't have the equity to get into recovery. If there's no equity, there's no equality. People we serve having barriers, there's different. And then Eddie had mentioned something about, diverse recovery coaches, which I thought was really cool. Like there's different, recovery coaches are very diverse. And I don't know if you want to explain more on that, Eddie.
Yeah,
you said it so well.
I was sharing that we are not created, we are not equal. We have different recovery experience, different pathway, and not only removing barriers for the people we serve, but also removing barriers for those who are working as recovery coach. I think I also mentioned the fact that moving into the licensing part, that's going to create some barriers for some coaches that are not good at taking tests, are not good at being in a classroom or being in a group like this, but they're good at being in your face and helping you recover, So that's what I was sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that, Eddie. I will share a little something with the group. In the indigenous or Native American community, one of their difficulties also, they said they found out because of the cultural misunderstandings, and they don't do well on tests. And it's not because they don't know the material, it's how it's being articulated to them from a Eurocentric mindset. And so what they're doing up in Canada, and they want to bring it here for the indigenous people here too, they have a group of elders, and you present orally to the elders. And what the elders do, they never dismiss you if you do not actually have an understanding in the way that they want you to. They begin to mentor you, see your weak spots, and then help you because you have a desire to do what you do. And they help you meet that so they don't dismiss you. So I think even looking from how some of the indigenous community, you'll find this all over the earth, their approaches are compared to our approach. Our approach is not always the best approach in order to help people. Everything based upon a particular degree you got to have, and you got people with master's degree, doctorate degrees, and when you look how they move, they don't move as well as somebody who has certain life experiences, may not speak that particular language or the uses of the words, but they know how to speak to the people who are in pain. And that's all somebody wants, is that you can articulate what they've been through, and then you have the ability to help them. So,
and then you have to somebody who knows how to culture shift, like a recovery coach that can culture shift and go into that and then explain it back, and then go into the indigenous culture and then have to come back and explain it to the Western culture and then to their home culture. It's like a whole deal to be able to do that, and a skill that we need to have.
And see what Paul just brought up, that's cultural competency. But you know, we're taught that when no one can never ever become totally competent, but I believe if you're humble enough to listen, you can learn from people. Yes. Then you apply that, you become competent. Competent just means ability. You learn that ability to do exactly what Paul said. And those are special human beings. And that's what I look at the field we work in. You're special people. You're special people to be able to cross bridges and work with people from different backgrounds and ethnicity and whatnot. That's the human being we look for in this work. Thank you for bringing that up, Paul. Okay, DJ, I heard you was in the wrong book. Julia, A, and Michael.
Well, I kept right up, didn't I, though?
Yes, I know you did. I'll tell you what, this is what I want y'all to do. Give me a definition that y'all came up, a DEI in the practice of recovery coach supervision. What does that mean?
What did we put down?
Being inclusive, using community strengths, and sharing our knowledge, and be sure you're showing the same things you're expecting of everybody else in our equality treatment. I think we didn't have a secretary, so I'm sorry if I'm just going on.
Well, I think you did a wonderful job, DJ. You know, I always have this saying when it comes to interpreting and defining terms, the best way I believe that you remember a term is make that term your own. Make it your own so you don't have to worry about what does it say in the book, because if you're living it, it comes out of you. It comes out of you. Now, I may hear something totally different, but you hit it home in your definition. It's easier. So I appreciate that what you share. And I will close with this.
So, Mark, if I can, I know we discussed about how DEI in the practice of supervision means that treating everybody that comes in your door the same as equal. You don't have a favorite recovery coach. Everybody's apply the same resources that you give one recovery coach, you give to all your recovery coaches. When somebody walks in your door and you're doing supervision, you don't favor that person over the next person that's walking through the door. So everybody's equal on a supervision level.
Absolutely. Unless somebody, I believe under the APR, people may request certain people.
That's the recovery.
Agencies.
That's the recovery, yeah. But as you do supervision.
Oh, supervision, absolutely. They're supposed to make sure that they distribute it equally amongst the people.
And what we had on the connections made between DNI and recovery, we also said multiple pathways. That's equal. But also, you're in recovery when you say you're in recovery. It gets no equal than that. When that individual, you might be doing more than this individual or doing less than this individual, but that individual says I'm in recovery, then guess what? That person's in recovery.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, that's exactly how we're taught. That's what makes us unique in this whole here work that we do. Because from a clinical point of view, they see it a little different. Other people see it a little different because not having the understanding. Some people don't even, I had to learn about MAT, medicated assisted treatment, because I didn't view it that way years ago. But then I start seeing that this is what's getting a person from point A to point B, and they're trying to work their way down the alphabet, then if that's working for them today, then I must be there to assist them and help them. And also believe harm reduction. That's what we're talking about. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I usually jump on that one because that was my pathway, one of them. You know, I tried different. And to tell physicians or nurses, just because you don't see the hard work that I've done, I clean up good, you know? But if you go back, you're gonna see the mess. So it's because of MIT that I'm here in this environment and give back, because that was one of my pathways, and it works.
Absolutely. And there's many stories out there, Eddie. Yeah. Many stories.
I had a nurse talking about those people in the psych ward. Mm-hmm. I said, all respect, nurse, I was in the psych ward. He's like,
those are my people.
He's like, oh. Well, they're not that bad, man.
Hey, be careful who you're entertaining, because you just might be entertaining an angel. That's what we're talking about. Well, listen, folks, I want to close it with this. We just went through this, a little quick exercise to look at it. If these particular skills of DEI are applied as a recovery coach supervisor, as well as the recovery coaches, we can begin to change this whole approach when it comes to DEI. This by us having this concept that we're working on, instilling in ourselves, and then applying it in the particular agencies and organizations that we work in. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Paul, and he's going to take us a little bit deeper into DEI in practice. Mr. Paul?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. So this is awesome. We're going to go right along, and we're going to continue talking about the context. So if you flip over to page 29 in your book. Now, I'm sorry, I'm hearing like an echo. I sound like Jimi Hendrix, which is kind of cool, but it makes it also difficult. If you all can just mute, there we go. Thank you. So context. As you're going through this, right, when you were going through this, yesterday or prior to today, here, thinking about a specific coach, the environment they work in, and then looking at the culture of the organization or the system, and then really, more on a societal, what traits might now be developed with that individual, right? So what were some of the ahas for you as you went through this? To page 29. There's a little birdie. I don't know if anyone can translate. They were answering.
Well, I'm the bird whisperer. I'm outside, so I can mimic sounds. So it's like I know a cardinal, so I'll be out there. So I mimic, and then they'll talk back to me. But the neighbors, they look at me funny.
That's okay. Okay, can you tell us a little more about that in the context of being coaching in that environment?
I got a question for this number one about, think about a specific peer recovery coach in a positive way or a negative way.
So what do you know about their environment? I mean, it could go either or. If it's a positive thing, how does it support the work? And if it's a negative thing or not so positive thing, how might it get in the way of, how might it impede?
Well, I know a recovery coach that's the same age as me. I know that they're Irish, had a strict upbringing in an alcoholic family, and went to AA, and they come from the city. And some of the traits and behaviors we have that have developed in this context is that once they got a job as a recovery coach, there's no more meetings. I've noticed a lot of people do this. They think once they get a job that you don't go to your meetings and your support systems anymore because you don't have to. And I think that's sad because we're also taken away from the people that we're supposed to be mentoring by not doing that. And that he brings with him his values from his upbringing, which is racism, and that AA is the only way to go. I can't believe he's a recovery coach, actually, but he might be able to relate to older adults, which is cool. So, yeah. Then I've met recovery coaches that I totally love talking to. I look for my support through those kind of recovery coaches that are willing to share, willing to gently correct me, willing to gently tell me to shut up, you know? So there's a big difference in those two. And the other thing is recovery people that are allies that have not had lived experience. They don't understand that the minute you talk to somebody in recovery, we know that you didn't experience it. Like when you ask somebody, why did you get high? Well, why did you not? You know? So anyways, that's all.
So that speaks to where this work is really predicated on our own recovery, right? And we know about self-care, you know, so as supervisors, this is quite the piece. And so, you know, the first question that comes to mind for me was like, who is the supervisor? You know, and obviously you don't have to answer that, but you know, like, how do we now support the individual? And because, you know, these systems and these agencies that we work for, you know, there's a lot going on. A lot is required of us, and you know, so you know, that could be almost second nature to be like, oh, I don't have time to go to this meeting or to do this extra thing that I used to do. I have to now, you know, switch it around in order to make it all work because I have to, you know, row the boat, so to speak, right? So so that's a huge piece. What else came up?
Well, I had guys that were maybe going into the therapeutic community, St. Meridian House that I work with in the prison system, and this mindset that they had, like that, you know, AKA where did they come from, traits, behaviors that they might have developed. So in the therapeutic community, you're asked to slip other people on their behavior, and in the prison population, you don't slip people for their behavior. Matter of fact, you mind your damn business, and you're not a rat, right? So they trying to get them to get out of that you're not in jail anymore, and actually you not pulling up someone's behavior is like you're showing that you love them and care about them. Brother, I see where you're going down this road, man. I see how you're acting. That's really actually loving them and not ratting on them. Like you're not a rat because you're trying to help out a brother, you know, in that community. It's a totally different. You're not in jail anymore. So
and that's interesting because now you're making me think of being role appropriate, right? You know, as somebody who is a resident at that institution, you know, like you don't do that. But then on the other side, there's the COs, right? And that's a whole other culture in themselves. So now how does somebody coming from that place, you know, into, you know, our field? So it's very, you know, looking at the different cultures and how it really starts being embedded in us, you know, in folks. Thank you. Somebody else had their hand up. Stephen, go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
thinking about a specific recovery coach, it actually brought up a question that I'm sure a lot of you know Richard Zombeck and his podcasts and whatnot. And some time ago, he was on with Tito Rodriguez, and the question came up about how many years of recovery should a recovery coach have before they're actually coaching? And, you know, some organizations are 2 years, some are 5 years and whatnot. And we had a mix of, you know, different timeframes. And so the general consensus was 5 years, and that really pissed off some of the ones that had less time in it. And so going back to this particular recovery coach, knowing that they had come from a very, very traumatic upbringing, inner city, lots and lots of trauma, you know, physical, sexual, the whole 9 yards. One of the issues that kept bubbling up in the ED was, again, I'm going to go back to boundaries, because boundaries is what gets most people in trouble, is we have shared experiences, but you also have to put a break on how far you go with these shared experiences. And that was difficult, kind of reining that in a little bit. Again, even on the Zoom meetings that I run, it's the same thing. There's so much value in what this particular person has gone through, but you also don't want to, on some level, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't want to re-traumatize somebody that you're trying to help out. And again, because of, I think on some level, because of lack of, you know, time in a professional environment like this, a lot of this stuff bubbles out. And I'm not sure who was just talking about it, but DJ, is these meetings, yeah, they're beneficial to us, but that's not our recovery right there. That's the recovery is for them. And we need to seek our recovery outside of there. And very often when I'm talking to the people that I work with, I'll, you know, hey, I'm going to the Wednesday night Ipswich beginners meeting if anybody wants to join me. You know, so it's making sure that you're putting your time into your own recovery is only going to benefit the others.
And how do you develop the skills that are necessary to get you through to be, you know, effective in these environments, right? So Kim says here, time does not equal recovery, right? So, you know, self-disclosure can be used as education. Okay, so Autumn, you had your hand up to add to that, I imagine.
I was just gonna speak to the fact of like, when you guys, our BSAS had done those forums where they went around to the different, like they came to GCC at one point. So I was just thinking about like the different topics that had come up in Greenfield when I went, and like some of the concerns about recovery coaching. And one of them was working as like a professional paid position recovery coach as opposed to like a volunteer recovery coach. And the concerns around that is, you know, if you take the RCA, are you automatically a recovery coach? Can you automatically, do you know what I mean? Because there was a lot of people within the community who had been taking the RCA, but had no supervision, had no experience, was working no recovery program whatsoever, was doing some shady stuff. And so like, those are the types of, to me, like those are the types of things that hurt us as like a community working towards what we're supposed to be working towards. You know what I mean? Like you got those fake recovery coaches out there representing and like doing some shady stuff. And then we almost lose our respect within the community. you know, I'm very proud of the organization I work with. Like, they're very on top of stuff. I mean, I've worked here for 4 years, and you bet I get supervision every single week, and every other week I'm getting group supervision, and you know what I mean? And so, the other thing I was going to say, which is was talking about the specific recovery coach, you know, I can think of a particular recovery coach whose bottom from the outside looking in probably wasn't as severe as my bottom. And so like people sometimes look at that stuff as, how do I say it? More relatable in a sense. So like this person, you know, is an alcoholic and identifies as an alcoholic, and their story consists of they drank too much in college and, you know, never experienced the type of things that can happen with people, you know, homelessness and, you know, all of these things. And so sometimes I think we have to be a little bit careful with our disclosures to people, and like, why are we disclosing them? Are we disclosing them for the simple fact to like make ourselves relatable, or do we have something to add that, oh, you're in a homeless shelter, I was in a homeless shelter back in 2000? Are we instilling the hope, or are we going tit for tat?
Yeah, and that's where the art, you know, comes in, and really, you know, thank you for mentioning that, because, you know, everybody who goes to law school isn't going to be a lawyer, right? So same happens here. You know, you take the RCA and you start, you know, whether you volunteer or you get a job. Some people get a job or able to get a job from there, and now they're practicing, and they have other peers supporting, they have a supervisor supporting it. Now you're doing the work, right? So it looks different, and it's evolving. It's been, you know, and I believe you're talking about the Recovery Coach Commission, you know, that was out in Greenfield. You know, it's been evolving so much. And here, this is what we're talking about: recovery orientation and supervision and support in doing this work. And we're talking about not just the coach, right? Now we're growing it, right? So and that's what we're doing here. So we've been talking about environments, right? And using what you wrote down on page 32, okay? You can get some of the information from there. We're going to look at on the next 2 pages, 33 and 34. Okay, so now you're going to put together a job description. Okay, you're going to craft a compelling job posting. Okay, so you're going to use your work on the previous page, all right, to come up with, you know, the setting, what they do, the skills, you know, what they would need to succeed, right? So here's the question that you want to consider while doing it. How will you cast the widest possible net to recruit candidates, and how will you evaluate them equitably? Okay, so we've been having rich conversation. I'm going to put you in groups, and here, you know what? Carmen's group will do a recovery coach for the treatment center. Okay, Autumn's group is going to do a recovery coach for the criminal justice center organization, and DJ's group is going to do one for the faith-based organization. And I'm picking on a couple of things that we haven't, you know, talked about yet. So again, Carmen's group, treatment center; Autumn's group, the criminal justice center; and DJ's group, the faith-based organization. All right, go ahead, Autumn.
Can I just get a little clarity around the criminal justice? Is it a center? Is it the jail?
How about a court?
Court, okay. Thank you.
Court. So, I'm sorry, somebody else?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So you're going to create a job description, okay, a posting. The information is on page 33. So a compelling job posting where you will get to use the work you did on the page previous and consider the following question. How will you cast the widest possible net to recruit candidates, and how will you evaluate them equitably? So you can use page 34, this wonderful page to, do your work in your workbook. Okay, when we come back, you're going to report out your job description and how you will evaluate it equitably. Okay. So we will have, we'll have 10 minutes to come up with a wonderful posting, and we'll see you in a little bit. Oh, Mr. Mark, this is a tough one.
That's all right. You process the first one, just was looking for feedback, and you didn't do 31 and 32. However,
wait, say that again.
page 31 and 32. If you look up,
right.
Don't worry about it though, because I'm learning something from this.
It's a lot.
And it's about lively conversations, which I'll bring it with Julio later on. You created a lively conversation, Mr. Paul, and you covered some in-depth stuff. Just on, let's talk about context. You created, because that is a lot. These are all questions. They want feedback. So you ask somebody what's their feedback. This is a lot. So
yeah, these are all, yeah, and they touched on number one, and they touched on
they talked about dynamics and the impact of supervision and coaches.
Yeah, the wider the traits, they talked about the traits.
Traits,
right?
Yep.
So all of that was encompassed within these questions.
Absolutely.
But it's a lot. It's so much stuff,
Now you see, because even the thought experiment, you're talking about going in, that's like a what do you call a scenario with JD.
Yeah.
You process, you see what it looks like, and you just ask them question. On page 32, that's a prelude to 33 and 34, because you're taking from that and giving them stuff, but they'll
that I touched on,
yes.
And they should have done it already at home. So that's why I connected it with like, hey, use that information that you wrote there.
Absolutely. So going forth, these are talks that we're going to have. It's good to have more material, because if my thing is like this, if it's a lot of material, Kim and Paul, in a module, what is it that we want them to come out? I'm taking from Linda's page. What is this module saying? What principle that they must come out of this? I think what you're doing now is working as a team to build equity within organizations, agency. That's what this is. This whole module B is about teamwork. So I think that's very crucial. How do you work together? Because at the end, they're creating a job hiring description that they have, because that's what they're doing. What you got them doing, that's the job hiring position that they're doing. Yeah.
So Mark, here, building a team, in order to facilitate equity for folks.
Yes.
Facilitate equity, to help, to support, facilitate the creation of equity and making, our work and the outcomes for people equitable.
Absolutely. It was something else. Yeah, this is a lot, man. This is a lot.
I mean, you can just, skim it, but and do all the pieces and skim it, but it really wouldn't. This needs a whole other, 20 minutes just for this second breakout, and
like it's a whole section in and of itself that could be renamed.
You know what would be, it's interesting because it doesn't have the times for the breakout rooms, which they already know that this is going to induce, right? Is that the right word? Conversation and lots of participation,
Yes.
from people.
Which you had them doing. That's why I was saying, I said, this is intriguing. I said, he took that page and he got them communicating. They're unpacking it. It's moving. The hands kept popping up. You couldn't get out of it. You couldn't get out of it. I
wasn't even supposed to do this.
And that's another intriguing part. Yeah. I'm saying, okay.
Yeah.
I already had to figure out what I was going to do.
Hey, I'm going to go peek in there.
Okay, okay. Go ahead and peek. I'll keep Miss Kim company.
Yeah.
Because she looked like she busy. Kim's like, I got this to do when I get off here. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Oh my God, you have no idea what's building up right now.
So check this out. I'm gonna talk to Doug because he said, okay, she will respond. She didn't get the message. What do you mean you didn't get the message? If Dawn said he reached out to her twice, Dawn reached out to her twice.
Called her.
He called her. So, going forward, I don't know what to say. So when y'all had that interview with her, who's interviewing her, Kim?
Josephine did finally call me back today. So that must have been prompt by him.
Yeah, because he called me.
That's not good though.
Huh?
That's not good.
No, when someone calling you for a job and they call you twice and you waiting. No, it's not. Matter of fact, when you think you ain't heard nothing, you supposed to call. So she went back, or Doug must have asked her, and she said, well, I ain't heard nothing. That's not good. So whoever's interviewing her, interview her real well, because because when I see red flags,
that's a red flag.
Yeah, and I know Doug means well. He means well. People he has sent there who came from where he's at. Can't have that.
I just emailed because he wants to do it. Her interview Friday at 2:30. I said I'm not available, and I'm telling him that there's a red flag.
Well,
I am not gonna. No, I'm not hiring anyone that can't. He called twice. I talked to Dawn every single day.
But hold up, we still have to. It's just like coaching. I noticed that you was called twice, but you didn't. You have to still ask.
You're interviewing her though.
Follow me, because now you're already asking someone. We don't know what happened. So you have to. Yeah, you have to ask him. I noticed we called you twice and we didn't. That's what's going to determine. So we got to manage our own stuff. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a red flag, but you still ask those questions to be sure what you're doing. Yeah, that's
Thank you, Mark.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I would want you to say the same thing to me. Because I feel you. I definitely feel
I just don't want,
Oh, come on.
I'm back on me.
I'm with you on that.
You get it.
Yeah. But, if the question doesn't sound right when you ask, listen, we all come from that. We know someone lying, pulling our leg. Hold up. You didn't see it on your phone, but Dawn got it in his phone, but you didn't see it? So you got to ask. And you don't dig in on the person.
Right.
You take what they say or say, okay, because I know we had called twice and we were just wondering why we didn't get back from you and why you didn't call to see if somebody called you. Those are the questions I would ask.
Okay.
Because that lets me know if somebody's has a desire. Like if I put in for a job, what do we always talk about when you put in for a job? Follow up, right? Follow up. I put in there. They said you was gonna call me. I didn't hear nothing, so I'm gonna follow up. But did you ever think about following up if you thought you didn't receive a message from you and you hear their response? Okay, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Just information.
Just information.
To file.
Yep. Then you and yes.
To file in the cabinets that are full.
Then you can go and have that conversation to the side. Yes.
Can I ask a silly question? At number 6, at the bottom of this DEI practice 2 breakout page, it says at the last sentence, reinforce the importance of understanding ADA.
Oh, that's the American Disability Act. And on Section 18 American Disability Act, it does cover people who suffer from addiction, and they can, a job doesn't have to, you're not protected by the ADA if you're actively using. It only protects you if you're in a program you haven't been using, then they cannot discriminate against you.
Ah, great. And what is it, Section 18?
Yep, section 18.
We should actually have that.
I know.
On here. I'll suggest that. Section 18 of the American Disabilities Act. Oh, 12 seconds. They're coming back.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up again for you.
Yeah, well, I'll ask you to put it in
It's
the
on
chat.
chapter 4. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
All right. All right. In this short time to do all this stuff, kind of like real life, right? So let's see. Group 1, Carmen's group. Can we hear what you came up with?
So ours is a treatment center, which is acute medical. We did a detox, so acute medical care. The essential job functions, demonstrating knowledge of trauma-informed care, demonstrating positive beliefs in feelings regarding clients with varying needs, a liaison between staff and client, maintaining confidentiality and standards of ethical practice, knowledge in multiple pathways, knowledge in the 4 principles of recovery coaching. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow. And how about, how will you evaluate them equitably? What was that?
So we spent a lot of time on the first one, but when it said like, how would you recruit and stuff, I know, we had said, obviously posting a job and then, reaching out to other recovery coaches or RSNs that are also in recovery that are looking for, if anyone else knows anyone that needs a position, we didn't really answer the other one, the evaluation one.
Okay.
We didn't have enough time.
Well, it's a lot of stuff. How about room 2, Autumn's group? Jack, Paul, Stephen.
So we were tasked with looking at a recovery coach working in a courthouse. So we spent a fair amount of time looking at kind of the qualities that person was going to need. One of them, and I had put this up first, but having a familiarity with probation and the laws itself. And some of the things that needed to be looked at for the recoveries that for success was basic needs have to be met. And I think that's, I guess, along the line with any environment. You also have to have very strong collaborative skills, being able to connect with other agencies and whatnot in the community, and a working knowledge of that local community. Liaison to other agencies. This one was a big one, was having strong boundaries, because a lot of the folks coming out of these institutions, prison, jail, whatnot, are master manipulators. And to have a recovery coach that could be sucked in easily could be detrimental all the way around. So those were the things that we came up surrounding that.
And what was the conversation around making them equitable?
There wasn't much because we spent so much time on this.
Okay.
We were so into that it was like 10, 9, 8. We sort of just, we really rock and rolled with that first one and never got to.
But I want to point out that you've already started touching on it when you're starting to talk about the different cultures and the culture, that, they might be coming from, and the culture that they're coming to, and creating the culture within, and the needs, involved around that environment. So, I want to bring that up, just as, the first group did with the treatment center, in talking about, multiple pathways and coming out of a place that, does one thing, right? This medical model, right, coming out of there. So that was quite interesting. So just connecting the dots, here. How about the third group? DJ, Eddie, and Michael.
Okay. Well, we discussed to have a bilingual faith organization, or we would be inclusive of languages other than English. And we would have strong ethical practices, non-judgmental, knowledgeable in the belief system, as in spirituality versus religion, to broaden our perception and others so that there is a feeling of inclusion and equality. 2+ years lived experience, access to a recovery coach supervisor, be able to run a small group, but to have some experience in facilitating groups, computer skills, and a salary maybe either $14 an hour to $30,000 a year based on somebody's experience. A driver's license. I added these things myself after. Driver's license, a GED or high school diploma, and willing to do outreach with other strengths that the community offers.
Wow. Well,
Who said $14 an hour, man?
I'm not saying.
You can make that at Wendy's now, right? Bernie wanted 15 just minimum wage, man.
Really?
So the same.
Don't even get me started on that.
Jack, I knew you were gonna pick up on that.
Hell no.
So
They'll
same
have 6
thing.
pages of what they want from a recovery coach. Documentation, have to have about 6 pages of what they want. What we're paying? $15 an hour. Man,
Yeah, let's try 30 to start.
you better skip on that, right?
So,
$14 an hour, I ain't even getting out of bed.
well, you're here today, so I'm glad you got out of bed today, Jack.
Yeah, so everybody change your job descriptions to include a minimum of $30 an hour on up.
Wonderful.
And then try to get a grant.
So you also already spoke to the equitability of it, just to point that out. The first thing you said was ethics, right? Was different, encompassing different belief systems, all languages. You were encouraging, people from, multiple, multilingual, multiple different communities. So that's really wonderful. I know it's a short time with, a lot of material, and the conversations are just awesome today. So we want to thank you for that. And just keep in mind that here, really, it's how do we now do this, quite the task, when hiring new coaches and new folks for your organizations, with all the different pieces, cultural pieces, responsive, being responsive to the individual's needs, the organization's needs, right? Your needs as the supervisor. So, back to looking at the whole recovery-oriented system of care, ROSC, that we're working on building here. Thank you. Thank you. And also it mentions, and we'll get the link for it, that the American Disabilities Act, would be a good piece to also be aware of, what that entails and encompasses and how it affects, the work that we do. So moving right along, Kim is going to support us in building relationships with all of these new coaches in all of these environments with a DEI lens. So take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for your participation. If everyone could go to page 35 in their books. And can I have a volunteer to volunteer reading the bottom of that page, that question? How might appreciating and understanding?
I'll get it, Kim.
Excellent. Thank you.
How might appreciating and understanding different life experiences, culture, ethnicity, identity, etc., impact recovery coaches and other peer workers' ultimate support of recoveries? Choices.
Great. So we're going to use this chart and just unpack that a little bit. If I can just have one or two volunteers to unpack this a little bit and examine our biases, learn about other people, etc., using that question. I know y'all. How about Autumn?
Okay, so we're talking about the strategies and steps and how we're going to do this.
Relationship building skills. There is a chart there, strategy steps. Yes.
Yep. Okay, so while Stephen was reading that question, like the word equity just kept coming to my head, right? So if we have these relationships, and we're understanding of the different life experiences, the culture, ethnicity, identity, we're going to be a little more familiar with where someone's starting at. So what kind of modifications they might need moving forward in their journey of recovery and access to services and so on and so forth. Around the topic of like self-awareness, we could, if we have a grasp on like that skill, then we're going to be able to understand like our own biases that we might have, or our own negative thoughts we have, or stigma even around different things. And then like the vulnerability piece is like sometimes having those conversations and like having to say, I'm thinking back, I had one participant who was she was of Native American descent, and like straight up, I don't know much about that in the terms of like spirituality, or like, I just don't know much about it. And like putting myself in that vulnerable situation of like, hey, so like, I don't know, but me using the person as a resource and learning from them and having them teach you, does put you in a vulnerable spot sometimes, because like, who wants to go around saying I have no idea, but it also builds that respect, because if I fake that I know what I'm talking about, like the truth's going to come out sometime that I really have no idea. And so I don't know, it encompasses like a whole lot of you could look about like curiosity, like that could be your motivation to ask these questions, and they all interconnect.
Yeah, thank you so much. And can we have one more volunteer to unpack this a little bit? Paul?
Come on, guys.
I'll share on appreciating differences. I will add to what's already here, gratitude and sensitivity and understanding. I will add also travel to experience cultures, you know, and putting oneself in situations that make me uncomfortable, you know, and being able to, being able to be ready to feel uncomfortable, and also investing in myself, self-improvement, self-education, taking courses that relate to differences and other groups. That's my input.
That's great. That's great, Eddie. And I think that I wanted just to add that, you know, this is really about you as supervisors building a relationship and sustaining good working relationships with your recovery coaches. That's the bottom line. How do you build those relationships? And the strategies and steps here are about you building it actually is giving you a plan in advance. Mm-hmm. It's actually saying, hey, if you want to work with your recovery coach on examining bias, then you need to be able to be self-aware. You need to be able to be educated, and you need to be vulnerable. You need to be able to share about your biases so that your recovery coach can share with you about theirs. And so it's the same thing, learning about other people. When you mentioned just now, Eddie, about appreciating differences, you know, how do you show your recovery coach that you appreciate differences? You know, and so it's about you role modeling and building that relationship with your recovery coach. If they don't see you taking risks, if they don't see you making mistakes, if they don't see you having courage, then why would they? You know, so we have to build that culture, that environment, that ship that they can jump on and say, okay, I'm ready to examine my own biases. I'm ready to learn about other people. To do that, I have to be curious. I need to employ collaborative skills. Well, how do I do that? How do I teach my recovery coach to do that? And so, and in doing that, you are building a relationship with a recovery coach. And so that's what this is all about. It really is about how do you do that? And this gives you the plan to do it, which I think is absolutely fabulous.
I did too. Thank you, Julia, for clarifying that.
When are you writing your book?
No answer. It's also owning my own stuff, you know, and that so there's a woman that came from a corporate world that's really on point. She's brilliant, and you know, she put out something to the masses like, please, in doing your outcomes, could you please say, you know, what race, what's the problem, what's the solution, boom, 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 because I'm doing the data entry now and I'm having a headache over here. And of course, know-it-all had to say, listen, man, you've been here 3 days, slow your roll, right? And as soon as I sent that text, I knew I was going to have to make an amends, right? So now I have to call and say, and you know, say, you know, something, I was out of line, man. You know what I mean? It's boring coming off. I never want to be like this guy that this know-it-all, old time or whatever. Like, you're brilliant. You do a great job. You caught me on a moment. I'm so sorry. I hope you can understand that, you know, sometimes I miss the mark too, man. You know what I mean? Like, I was out of line. She's brilliant at what she does. And instead of me, you know, it was just humbling. It was humbling for me to say, you know something, Jack, sometimes, like you haven't come too far at all. Like, so to put that out to her. But you know what happened? Here's what happened. She said, thank you. I've been having a hard time with 30 of these damn coaches. Like, nobody likes me at the Meridian. Everywhere I go, people don't like me because she's very hard and like very academic, right? And very but she brings a lot to the table, right? Things that I don't want to do, she can do, right? So she said, thank you so much because for you saying that, because it made me feel like, I'm not totally, I really thought I was losing my mind because I'm having trouble with every other coach. And for you owning your stuff and saying that, it meant a lot to me. So now our relationship is totally different. When I work with her at night, like it's totally shifted because I own my own stuff. You know what I mean?
And I think you could have gained the respect of your whole team by you saying, hey, slow your roll. We've been working at this a long time. It's fine. You want to do all this junk, but we got these guys. Maybe come down here and help us one day with this stuff and show that you're invested in this. And we're more than happy to help you along, but just don't come at us with all these new things to do. People have to earn the respect of the people they work with. And that would be showing them that, I think. So. Right. Yeah, for my place, I really felt like I said, it's so boring what I did to you. I don't ever want to come off with someone like that. I don't like people talking to me like that. So I had to come at it from a different. She got the message, no doubt, Paul. But I also had this. I had to slow my roll, right? She's doing things I don't have a clue. It gives me a headache to think about data entry. She's doing things like that. And if I want to put somebody off like that, I had to change my mind anyway.
Thank you, Jack. And that's awesome because I think we have a real responsibility is to really be what we're promoting. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone help me. Like, we're supposed to mimic what we're leaders. Yep. We're leaders. So leader that. And actually Friday we'll be looking into leadership. So we'll get to really have a conversation about that. So thank you for that, because if we want to role model that and we got to teach people, hey, I was wrong. I am sorry. My bad. You know what I mean? And that teaches other people that we supervise to do the same thing. I admit I'm wrong all the time. I make personal phone calls all the time. We're human beings and we're having a human experience. So thank you for sharing that with the group. If everyone can turn to page 37 in the book, this is going to be another breakout room. And we'll need 3 roles again, a supervisor, a recovery coach, and an observer. We're only going to do this once, so you don't going to have to change roles. So it's just 1, 1, and 1. We'll put you in one group. Please there's only one scenario. I forgot about that. So you'll be using this scenario on this page to guide your work. But I really want you to keep in mind that I'm reinforcing that. And I love what Eddie said earlier. And William White talks about this in Multiple Pathways as well. Our journey to recovery is unique and it's personalized. And not all of us took the same road to get here. Same with Multiple Pathways. So when we look at that, we gotta look at culture, diversity, people's, faith-based. Is someone faith-based? Do people, certain cultures do not take medications? So, you know what I mean? All encompassed in this. So when you really go into the breakout room, keep that in mind when you're having the conversation. It's all a unique, individualized, personalized journey. Recovery is personalized and deep to each person. So we're going to set up the breakout room. Super excited about this, and let's go for it.
How long are we going to be in the breakout rooms?
I'm sorry.
We'll have.
We can do 20 minutes.
No, I think we need less time.
Yes.
Okay.
I have 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
All right, here we go. Hey, Mr. Mark, we're right on time
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is the part where, hey, Kim. So
I am literally shaking.
What?
It threw me off, and she did it twice. Like, I had this whole thing. It's
No,
okay.
no. Let me share something to you. When Julia injects in the middle of your thing, that's less work you have to do. Thank you. You shorten what you do. Now you get out of it. You don't try to process everything.
and how do you now affirm that? And you see what I wrote to you in the
We're even.
What I wrote to you in the piece. I was kind of not telling you what I was giving you an example where I said, so now Julia had finished, or was like kind of tapering what she was saying, and then for you it could be like, great, let's get to practice this and do our next exercise. Boom, like take that, because again, it's like ingredients. And now what do? Those ingredients are already in the pot. You can't go in there and fish out that extra swig of hot sauce you put in there, right?
Absolutely. And see, we were taught that in some of our classes, how to improvise. It's improvise. That's a segue. So what she was doing is actually helping you, even if you feel you didn't need help. So okay, cool. She helped. No problem. That was the end of the conversation. Segue right to the group. You're out of it. Remember, I told you it's about doing less work, pulling on them, because this is supposed to be adult learning theory. So I'm not supposed to talk as much. There's gonna come times where you're gonna talk, right? Then there's other times you don't have to. You pull from them.
And you'll get. Here's the thing with this. As you go working with different facilitators and different folks in the rooms, right, and different guests, and all that kind of stuff, you'll start getting a sense of their style or the way, and that's why we have debrief. You could bring that up. Hey, this was helpful, or I was a little thrown off. Thank you, but or whatever it is, because I can't even begin to tell you how many times, like in my style, I wait, I try to get it out of people. I don't go and give the answer, where some other folks, some other facilitators will give the answer much sooner, and I'll be doing a module, and then they don't know what my process in my head is, so they'll interject, with the answer, before I even got to it, and at that point, okay, you go with it. They, gave it out. How can we help connect that? Maybe it made sense. Maybe it threw it off, of the way I was thinking about it. But now it's like hitting that bump in the road, like you're driving and like, oh, I didn't see that there. Oh, let me get, and it's just a process, and you'll get it. And at the end of the day, it's
Did I really do a goofy job there today?
No. Listen, you ain't seen Goofy. I'm not even. Me and Paul ain't gonna go into that. So you ain't seen it.
Well, she interjected on both of mine.
No, I'm just saying, don't get so hard on yourself. Yeah, don't get so hard on yourself where your emotions come up, because you're wearing on your shoulders.
Oh no.
Yeah, and other people will see it.
Yeah.
So you want? It's like dancing. She just stepped on your foot. You moved over, but you kept moving. Hey, music's still going. The music's still going.
You're still on the dance floor.
You on the dance floor. There you go. That's it. You don't know how many times she has done that to all of us in training. But if she thinks something hasn't been explained well, I don't mind it, because she may have heard something. I may have known something, but she explained it. I'm cool.
But that might not even be, that's, again, that may be what I'm thinking or what you're thinking, but we don't know the reason, like
she
what
might have
it
just
was.
wanted to speak, right, Mr. Paul? Because she wanted to add her piece.
I mean, my directions in the TOT are very simple on that page.
Yeah.
Ask the question. Use the chart. That's it.
maybe the silence, through, I saw Paul, I thought, because I heard you say, hey, Paul,
Right.
to Paul Bowman, right? And then he got his glasses and he started like reading it, but then he didn't answer. And I was waiting for him to answer just as well. And then that's when Eddie came in.
Yeah,
Right.
Eddie came in.
Yeah, so, it's all.
I should have read the top piece first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Just make a note of it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's could be the takeaway,
Yeah.
So that's what Miss Roz, one of my counselors from Brooklyn, Miss Roz, this awesome Black lady with the total Brooklyn accent, was like, she'd be like, coulda, shoulda, woulda, ain't no goulda, right? With her accent, and she just did this with her finger. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, ain't no goulda, so forever I will have that in, that's okay. Next time you will.
That's right.
Okay.
When they go high, you go low.
Thank you, guys. I really just want to do a good job. That's all.
I just want to get through the day.
Me too. And that.
And then move on to the next training. It's in my mind. That's where my mind's at. Just to get through this, the process. To get it.
The process, yeah.
And it's all new to all of us, because especially like the Felon Blair materials,
right.
They're put together in such a way, and this one these happen to have a lot of details, and it's not going to be perfect. It's not, you're going to do it 20 times and it's still not going to be perfect. And the day that you did it perfect, it won't be recorded.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it would be in here. It would be here.
Right.
Here.
Yes. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. That's funny.
All right. So it's 2:36. We have 20, to process this out now. It's one key takeaway, Kim. So just,
one key, yes.
One key takeaway.
I got it.
My next piece, the next piece is short. It's funny because Mark and I just did a training where it was 2 days on core competencies, and this has 10 minutes on core competencies. So, so we'll get through that piece and then end it for today. So even if you go till quarter of, like maximum, they're coming back in 1 minute and 47.
If I forget to tell you both how much I appreciate you, I'm telling you right now. From my heart, I'm gonna get tears in my eyes, but seriously, I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate it, but if you keep saying that, I'm gonna charge you $1.
I can't help it. I just, me, Mark. I'm one of those mushy people.
I know.
Hey, we can't learn to swim if we don't jump in the pool. So
that's right.
Thank you.
That's right. Got to have a pool.
All right, you know what? Yeah, we give them 10 minutes, 15 seconds to come back. Okay, they have 1 more minute. And then one key thing.
One key thing, I got it.
And then you just, button it up at the end.
Who's doing the next one?
I am.
Okay, good.
10 minutes. It worked out all right, Paul.
Yeah.
You got a short one. I had a short one. You had a long one. I had a long one.
I had 2 long ones.
we gotta work you out.
Oh my God.
We gotta work you out. Yeah.
Whew. I'm not going to bed till 10, 11 tonight. I've been up since 4:34.
After a while, them 30, 40-minute modules, they're actually short when you do them and you do the breakout rooms and all, they're short.
It's really nothing.
All right, 15 seconds.
You go high, I go low.
And we're back.
Yes.
We're back.
Awesome. So can we have one person just give a little snippet of what you guys were able to unpack in your breakout room from each group?
I don't know what group were we.
Group 1, DJ, Julia, and Sarah.
Okay.
I will. Okay. So the relationship building skills. So our recovery coach was going to had a recovery that wanted to go to a refuge meeting, and our recovery coach wasn't familiar with that. And the supervisor had her self-reflect, address her own biases, and it became a learning opportunity and kind of a resolution of some inner conflict initially because of the lack of, didn't know about refuge recovery. Did you want the one key takeaway? Is that what you're looking for?
One key takeaway, sure.
That was it, addressing the personal biases.
Excellent. And biases are important, definitely, with this. Group 2.
Eddie's group.
Eddie.
I was the observer. Stephen was the recovery coach, and Jack was the recovery coach supervisor. And I'll start with the end in mind. The key takeaway was the fear of the unknown, because Stephen felt uncomfortable, mostly out of his element, because he's never been exposed to that model of smart recovery. So one of the conflict resolution was used because he's attending the group to get exposure to it, to learn more, to help his recovery. The recovery coach supervisor used encouragement by using some of his experience. And also there was a reflection of respect. So those were the takeaways. Anyone wants to add something else to that? Stephen or Jack?
You're on mute, Jack.
Oh, that's good, brother. Yeah, just sort of identification with the recovery coach that, brother, I've had the same biases. I was one-stop shopping, and now, like if somebody's doing something that's helping them not to die, like we've got to change our mind a little bit, and but I feel you, just so not saying like, man, not the judgment and that, which never gets anybody anywhere. I just get pissed off, right? So I'm trying to come at another man the way I would want somebody to come at me, and not trying to come like, hard guy type stuff. That's dead. So just saying, like, I've got the same ideas, man. I feel I have my ideas about what recovery looks like, right? I have, and yeah. So identification, I guess.
So can I ask you a quick question? Because I know this was one of my biases when I started coaching. I went through the big book step study. I did the 12 steps through the big book. And I was like, after 30 years of suffering, this is the way you'll recover. And I had a hard time in the beginning of my coaching career to not impose my will and my biases on my recoveries. Now, I want to impose this question on other people: is if you've been strictly one pathway, how do you know your biases and educate yourself so you can supervise your coaches to then help other people find their pathways that are appropriate for their culture?
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
I think like even with that handout you guys gave us, right, of like the pamphlet of these multiple pathways, I can definitely tell that if I have a bias, if I'm reading through it and I'm like, what? what? You know, like, you just know if you have a bias. Like, I wouldn't have known had I not sought out reading the pamphlet and knowing about other things. So I think that's where the self-discovery, or the education comes along, because you're not going to know if you don't know. You know what I mean? So like reading through these, and you know, something comes up and you have some sort of physical reaction to it that's laughing, then it probably is a bias of yours.
I was working with a participant, and she practiced medium, you know, she connected with the dead, and that, you know, and my flags went up real quick, you know, because that used to be my background, but I had a horrible experience. So that's one that I'm aware of, and overcoming that. So I just listen, and I used to get invited to them. I said, that's okay, I'm not there yet. I was honest with her, but it worked for her. Yeah.
Excellent. And that's all. If it worked for one person, you know what I mean? Not everything's going to work for everybody. And that's what makes us unique and individual and awesome. So practicing all this stuff is putting in best practice, maybe experience another pathway that you've never done yourself. Go to one of those meetings. They're all on Zoom right now. Take advantage of the time. So, you know, and then we can help the people we supervise, help them better. If we haven't experienced ourselves, how can we educate other people to experience multiple pathways in a unique way?
Julia, you had your hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who?
Oh, Julia had her hand
No,
up.
Kim, actually,
yeah.
you just said what I was thinking, because it's really easy. You know, we're hearing a lot about that 12-step NAAA, this is the way, and that's the way everybody goes. But personally, having experience using a different pathway, it makes it easier for me to kind of say, listen, I love painting and I love hiking. And when I was one with nature, that was my thing. That's how I did it. And to be able to speak from that personal experience and say, help your recovery discover their path. And one of the ideas that our peers kind of came up with was having a special group once a week called Discover Your Path.
That's awesome.
Right.
So writing that one down.
Yeah, we're hopefully starting that one in April, but it's kind of like recovery reflections. You know, what's going to work for you? This works for me. You know, all recovery idea, but more of like an educational thing on this is what this pathway does. This is what this one does, and let's just discover it. But yeah, it's easier to kind of come from. That's where that kind of being on. You know, I had to find a different pathway for myself because that one just wasn't working.
Right.
That's all
I went to sweat lodges, man. Someone said, have you ever experienced it? Somebody said something about the sweat lodges in prison, and I was like, wow, man, you serious? That's like, and I went to sweat lodges the whole winter, man. I ended up being the firekeeper at the sweat lodge. The American Institute, they let me be a part of the ceremony of building the sweat lodges. And a whole winter, man, you get out of the sweat lodge, you do snow angels in the snow. I was tripping out on sweat lodges, man. I was like, that was beautiful, man. So much for my understanding. Like I had to go and experience something before I could say, you know, that I knew anything about it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. We got one more group. I'm going to put, can you, oh, go ahead, DJ.
I was just going to say, the little group that has formed that.
The three? Oh, I can't hear you. You're on mute. No.
Your audio went out, DJ.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back to her. Can we have group 3 report? Get some feedback.
I was the observer. The one key takeaway that we got from our group was vulnerability together. The recovery coach, he wasn't sure the pathway that his recovery wanted to take, and the supervisor, she was transparent. She's like, you know what, I don't know myself, but we could learn together. And she included him in the plan, the solution. So she did well. I liked her style.
Love it. Thank you so much. Excellent session. I'm going to pass this on now to Paul, and he's going to talk about core competencies.
Nice, thank you, Kim. So we're going to touch on this today for just a couple of minutes, and we're going to, continue on, and we're going to look at core competencies. Would somebody please read, this is at the top of page 39 in your workbook. If you could just read that top paragraph, please, someone.
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Core competencies preparation, according to SAMHSA. Core competency are defined as the capacity to easily perform a role or function. They are often described as clusters of the knowledge, skills, and attitudes a person needs to have in order to successfully perform a role or job. Now that you have considered supervision of recovery coaches and other peer workers from various perspectives, essential functions, tasks, processes, environments, and related skills, we'll ask you to explore the core competencies that have been determined necessary to do this work effectively. In Massachusetts, they are defined as follows.
All right, so if we can follow along in our books now, I'll call out on your names, and if you could just read one of the competencies, and I'll call on the next person, read the next one, etc. So Jack, can you read the first one, please?
Sure. Understanding peer role.
Okay. Michael.
Recovery orientation.
Carmen.
Models, principles of recovery.
Stephen. Stephen.
Stephen, you're muted, brother.
Yeah, supports meaningful roles.
Thank you, Sarah.
Recognizes the importance of addressing trauma, social inequity, and healthcare disparity.
Thank you, Eddie.
Ongoing training.
Autumn.
Professional system navigation.
Hey, Julia.
Applicable laws and regulations.
Julia.
Community resources.
Thank you. And DJ. Oh, we didn't hear you, Paul. Go ahead.
Ethics, boundaries.
And back to Jack.
I'm sorry, I was talking to the cat.
Quality supervision, Senor Gato.
Oh, okay, accessibility.
Wonderful, thank you. Michael. Oh, you're muted.
That would help, right? Occupational equality and self-development.
Okay.
The staff development, sorry.
Perfect. Carmen.
Staff safety.
Stephen.
Peer delivered services advocacy.
And the last one, employment practices.
We skipped a bunch though, because I picked it up at ethics and boundaries. So I think the ones before that, confidentiality, identity, evaluate peer competencies were missed, and maybe one or two other ones.
Wow, well, there's a whole bunch there. Now, what in particular, what is a question you have about anyone? You know, what questions do you have about this? DJ.
My question is about staff safety.
Okay.
So what do you do when things get out of hand? I mean, that's my question.
Okay, what do you do when things get out of hand? Would somebody with a staff like to answer that? Stephen.
DJ, in reference to what? With a client, with another staff?
I would say with a member, and say you've exhausted all your other means. You've talked to them, you warn them that they're going to get suspended for their behavior and not be allowed to come in the center for so long, or maybe forever if it's that bad. Well, what do you do after that? Do you call the police?
No.
I mean, you're trying to keep it confidential and safe.
Can anybody hear me?
No.
You're very low, Julia.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to bring us back to it says I'm at 100, but I guess I'm not.
There you go. Now you are.
Oh, okay, good. I just wanted to, the whole idea of core competencies is work in Model C. In the next session, you're going to be asked to complete a self-assessment of these competencies based on where you are right now. So the core competency is look at yourself and look at where you're at right now. Not where your recovery coaches are, or not where there would be something in a recovery center. But the question is to really look at these and see where you are right now. Do you understand what they mean? Do you think you have that competency? Do you have that knowledge and skill and attitude? And if you don't, then maybe just check it off and maybe take a little time to kind of say, well, if these are the competencies that SAMHSA is saying that I need to perform what I am doing, then what is it that I need to work on?
Yeah, the piece here, again, we're just reading through these. I mean, it's a very short time, and it will be picked up on Friday morning. But as you look through these, think of the questions that you have, just as, DJ just gave us an example on safety, right? How can you have these conversations with your peers, with your staff, with your directors, right? To see, what do we have in place? What do I need to look at, right? Or what haven't I seen, right? Because you're going to be stronger in some areas than you are in others, right? So this is, this last 10-minute piece. I mean, we can do a whole week on just the competencies alone. So this is just really, hey, let's kind of identify what they are. Now, in the next module on Friday, we're going to start unpacking this. And in your homework, you have a couple of pieces that speak to this already. So it's really just an introduction. And here, and here's the point. Let me go back to sharing. Here's the point that Julia was making. Would somebody like to read the blue box there?
I got it, Paul.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Stephen.
As part of the self-paced assignments for Module C, you are asked to complete a self-assessment of these competencies based on where you are right now. A professional development plan based on these competencies will be distributed during your discussion of the assessment.
Yeah, so, there's a lot to unpack here. This is really just, there's an iceberg coming, and that's what we're seeing right now, that's what we're looking at. So with that in mind, look out for the iceberg, right? Thank you, everyone. We all made it through day 1, Module A and Module B. There will be an evaluation, just as you see on page 40. You're going to get an email with that. And Julia.
Okay, thank you. I won't be here for the next session. And so again, exactly what Paul said. I don't know how many of you actually filled out evaluation A. So you have 2 evaluations to fill out. That's going to take 5 minutes each. It's not a huge deal, but it's important that you fill them out. And please, I want you to add anything that you found, you need to give a suggestion about, or anything you think, was not good, or that you'd like to change, or that you'd like to enhance, anything like that at the very, very end. Just for everybody's knowledge, the governor has now said we're in phase 4 for the state of Massachusetts. And so you can go online to mass.gov and see what that's all about. There's blank pages in your booklet. Those blank pages are there for a reason. They're for you to jot down notes, to make reminders, to put in resources, to, add whatever it is you want to add. And then the last thing I want to share is that how many of you, please raise your hand, have heard of the New England School of Addictions? Okay. Every year in June, the New England School of Addictions is at Worcester State University. And this year, of course, it's going to be online, just like it was last year. And it starts on Monday, June, I don't remember, it's June 8th, I think, or June 7th, and it goes through June, the end of the week. So that's Monday. So Tuesday of that week, we're going to do something we've never done before, and we're going to have a recovery coach summit that will take the whole day. Wow. And so we just wanted to let you know that in advance. There's a Recovery Coach Hub website coming, and also Recovery Coach learning communities for you to please connect with them. I just want to say thank you to everyone for doing this work. It's not easy work, and being active all this time online is not an easy thing. For me, it's an easy thing because I'm on 6 to 8 hours a day online. And so I've gotten used to it. But for many of you, I know it's not an easy thing to do. And so I want to thank you for the time and effort that you've put into and the passion that you have for the work that you do. Paul, Mark, Kim, thank you. Thank you very much. You have done a marvelous job, really. Absolutely marvelous. And I want to thank you so much. And Mark, Eddie, and Kim, I will be talking to you soon. And the best of everything for modules C and D. Were you going to say something, Paul?
Thank you. I think Paul Bowman had his hand up.
No, I just put my thumb up for good work.
Oh. Thank
I was
you.
just clapping.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you Friday morning.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Marion, you gotta say something? I don't know.
Thank you.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Bye, Kimmy.
Bye. I'll talk to you.
Bye, Paul.
We'll talk to you. I'm gonna stay. I ain't going nowhere.
Bye, Miss Autumn.
Bye, Miss Autumn.
Autumn.
Hey, Angela.
Michael,
Where is she? There she is.
have a great day.
Bye, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Oh, I gotta go.
Bye, everyone. Awesome training.
Don't you go nowhere, Miss.
What are you talking about? I thought we were leaving.
Short day.
Yeah, because we briefed for